starting with the big one, just as I said, that broke forth about 30 minutes ago. Roger Federer would finally call it a day when it comes to the sport of tennis, and he will be doing that alongside his eternal rival and friend, Rafael Nadal. They will be partnering for Team Europe against the duo of Jack Sock as well as Francis Tiafoe for the Team World category. It will be the doubles. Now for the Laver Cup itself, you have the evening session opening with Andy Murray. It's Andy Murray who will kick off the evening session on Friday in the singles, and he will be taking on Alex de Minaur of Team World. Alex de Minaur, the Australian, will be representing Team World against Andy Murray. And afterwards, we'll have Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer on one side of the tennis court against the duo of Jack Sock and Francis Tiafoe on the other side representing Team World. It will definitely be a spectacle, and what a way it will be if Rafael Nadal can help his friend and rival to end his career on a winning note. You can be assured that there will be record attendance from the O2 Arena in London, and more importantly, the millions of people watching across the globe as the 41-year-old Swiss master calls it a day in the world of sports. It must be said it's been really successful with over 100 ATP titles, over 20 Grand Slam titles, and record fees as well when it comes to prize money earned all through his career. Roger Federer definitely elevated the sport of tennis from where it used to be with his grace and charm. More importantly, his control and calmness on the court itself. It will be intriguing to see how that fares in the coming days. Well, still talking tennis, let's now turn our attention to the women's game, and we'll have to start from Korea. Yes, the Korean Open is ongoing, and you have British #1 Ima Raducanu, who is progressing gradually, silently, but gradually she's beginning to rack in the points that will take her back, you know, to the top 20 of the world ranking when it comes to the women's category. She was in action at the wee hours of today against Belgium's Janina Wickmeyer, and that ended in another straight sets victory for Ima Raducanu. 6-3, 7-5 that ended as Raducanu booked a place in the quarterfinals of the Korean Open. She broke her Belgian counterpart 3 times late into the first round and first set, I beg your pardon, and was able to, you know, seize control of that going into the second set to round up the victory. So it's Raducanu is into the quarterfinals, and she'll be taking on Polish world number 51. That's Magda Linnet. Magda Linnet would play Raducanu in the quarterfinals. It should be intriguing. Should Raducanu defeat Linnet, that will be the first time since the 2021 US Open triumph that she has won 3 successive matches. It shows you the struggle that the teenager has had in the last 1 year, battling with several injuries, especially blisters. I'm not forgetting, you know, the change of coach. But in recent times, she's had a bit of stability, especially having to be coached since July by Russia's Dmitry Tursunov, who has been, you know, by her side since July. So there's a bit of stability for Raducanu. Let's see if that would, you know, bear dividends even going into the end of the season. Still talking about tennis, the women's game itself. You have the Pan-Pacific Open as well ongoing, but the defending champion, Naomi Osaka, won't be participating in that one as she has pulled out of the tournament due to abdominal pain. And for the former world #1, the 4-time Grand Slam champion, it is another setback for her in her quest to, you know, reclaim top form and hit the strides that saw her won, you know, successive Grand Slams both in 2020 and in 2021. For Naomi Osaka, she's battled with mental health issues last year, having to take a break from the sport twice due to mental health issues just last year. And this year, she has also battled with various injuries as well as a loss of form. She's battled with Achilles injuries. She has also, you know, had to deal with back injury in time past. This latest one, abdominal pain, abdominal injury, is definitely a setback. I'm sure she can't wait to end the season and see how she can rest and recuperate adequately so as to hit the 2023 season on a very positive and confident note. It will be intriguing to see how, you know, she's able to do that. Well, let's turn our attentions now to basketball. And the news coming out from basketball are not pleasant at all. We'll start with the one that concerns a Nigerian, in fact, a former Nigerian player, now the coach of the Boston Celtics, and that's Ime Udoka. Yes, Ime Sunday Udoka, former Nigerian international who is now the coach of the Boston Celtics, is facing disciplinary action from his club and from the franchise, and that's because of his intimate affair with a female member of staff. Now, the franchise, that's the Boston Celtics, confirmed that the affair was consensual. In other words, there was no coercion anywhere, rather it was a consensual affair, but it's against the guidelines of the rules, and that illicit affair now would see him face a lengthy suspension from the Boston Celtics. That reports that he could be suspended for the entirety of the 2022-2023 NBA season. In other words, he won't be the ones to lead the Boston Celtics in terms of coaching them for the next season. We do not know much of the details yet, as it's still covered in secrecy, but you should know that Ime Udoka is married. The 45-year-old is married to 51-year-old actress Nia Long, and this is definitely against the guidelines of the Boston Celtics, and as a result, it will be dealt with. Later on today, Thursday, we would have a concrete length to the suspension, but according to reports, he is said to be suspended for the entirety of the 2022-2023 season, as I said, and his job, and what we understand is that his job is not in jeopardy at all, as he will still retain the job. He's just been suspended as a means of reprimand. Now, having said that, Celtics assistant coach Joe Mazzulla is said to be considered to take the job on an interim basis. He's been considered, rather, to take that job on an interim basis. So do not be surprised that Ime Udoka will not be leading the Boston Celtics this time around. He just joined the franchise last summer and was able to lead the Boston Celtics to their first NBA Finals in 12 years, leading them all the way to the NBA Finals before they lost over 6 games to over the course of 6 games to the Golden State Warriors. Unfortunately, he won't be able to continue with the good work he has started at Boston Celtics, at least for the time being. He was the 5th coach over the last 25 years to lead a franchise to the NBA Finals at the very first attempt, and it was also the first since Nick Nurse did that in 2019, leading the Toronto Raptors to the NBA Championship. So, Ime Udoka, not very good there, but I'm sure in the coming days there will be clarity, and we should get to hear from the man himself. Still talking basketball, you will have to talk about Robert Sarver. Yes, Robert Sarver has been in the news over the last 1 week, and that's because of the suspension and fine that was issued by the NBA for workplace misconduct that had to do with racism as well as sexism. Well, the latest about the pressure that has been piled on is that he has now announced his intention to sell the NBA franchise Phoenix Suns as well as the WNBA franchise the Phoenix Mercury. Although we do not know when that sale process will begin, but Sarver will no longer be in charge of the Phoenix Suns. Remember, he was suspended for a year and fined $10 million for being found guilty of racist and sexist misconduct towards employees. And as a result of that, punishment, you had players lending their voices, especially LeBron James, speaking out, saying that that was a slap in the wrist and he should have faced a stiffer ban. You also had Phoenix Suns talisman Chris Paul, a very good friend of LeBron James, also lending his voice against his employer, saying that definitely the NBA got the decision wrong and there should have been stiffer punishment for Robert Sarver, and that just made the voices more vociferous for his calls to be issued a live ban. But now that he has announced that he will be selling the franchise, the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has welcomed the development or the decision made by Robert Sarver. Remember, in the last 8 years, you've had 2 different NBA owners being forced to sell their franchises as a result of misconduct. In 2014, you had Donald Sterling, the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, who was forced to sell the Clippers at the time, having been recorded making a racist remark which was derogatory. And you also had Bruce Levinson, the owner of the Atlanta Hawks as well, also selling the franchise in 2015 as a result of his misconduct. So Robert Sarver is the 3rd person in the last 8 years to go down that route. And the big question for so many people is the selling of franchises, or getting out of the organization, as it were. Is that really the solution to issues of misconduct, especially during the workplace, where someone like Robert Sarver, who was in charge for 18 years, was said to have cultivated that atmosphere of racism as well as sexism within the Phoenix Suns organization. I'm sure the NBA will be reviewing its laws, and they will be looking for ways to ensure that owners, employees, and employers are able to make the workplace safe and conducive, especially within the NBA, where there will be no form of bullying, no form of racism, sexism, homophobia, among all others. Let's see how that pans out. Still talking basketball, yes, you have the Chicago Bulls guard, Lonzo Ball, who will undergo another surgery, and this is his third surgery in the last 4 years. It's not looking good for the youngster. He's going to be 25 in October and has battled with several injuries during the course of his career. Now, this time around, he will undergo an arthroscopic surgery on his knee, left knee, and this is coming just 8 months after he had another surgery on that same knee. Not looking good for Chicago Bulls at all. You had the team has announced, that it will be reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks after the surgery. The surgery will take place next week in Los Angeles. And for Ball, he hasn't played since January 14th this year, and as I said earlier, has had 3 surgeries on that particular left knee. I'm sure they will be looking for a permanent solution, as it were. He averaged, 13 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 5.1 assists in his first year of a 4-year, $80 million contract, which is signed with the franchise. Do not forget that the Bulls as well, the Chicago Bulls, will begin their training camp next week, and their season opener, talking about the NBA regular season, would be on the 19th of October, and it will be in Miami against the Miami Heat. Let's hope that he's able to recover adequately.